Yo, man, big up peeps in the building, live in the flesh, live and direct. I hope everybody is blessed, man. Obviously, I'm just going to do a quick UCL quarterfinal reaction. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like button, sharing, and subscribing. It feels like I ain't done a live in a long time, Actually, feels kind of weird, man. It feels kind of weird. Obviously, guys, I did a tactical analysis over on Big Up. I'm going to be doing all, like I said before, any tactical analysis videos in terms of two teams. I will be doing that all on Big Up from now on. So make sure you guys go over there and check that out. It's not long. I think it's like 15 minutes, if not maybe even just under that. So yeah, check that out. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments, of course, in the comment section. I will also be doing a tactical preview for the Liverpool versus West Ham. Yeah, Liverpool West Ham. I'll be doing that as well. So make sure, of course, that you guys check that out as well. I think I'll do that maybe just after Arne Slot does his press conference. It's like 10 minutes anyway. So I'll probably do it straight after that. And then I'm sure everybody else is going to be doing their match previews anyway. So you guys can, of course, probably check me out over on there. But quarterfinals, Champions League, first leg. Yo, they told me that football died. They told me football football in England might have died. You know what I mean? We've been watching some boring football in the Premier League this season, and the quality hasn't really been there so much in the Premier League this season. Of course, we've spoken quite a lot at length, in regards to that in itself. And everybody's got their thoughts, everybody's got their feelings about it, and that's fine. You know what I mean? You do you, man. I couldn't really care less as to what it is that you think. Obviously, in the Champions League, though, we've seen some real quality, man. And I think we're seeing quality from teams, not obviously these teams here are all like big teams, right? But even just in the early stages of the Champions League, I felt like we were seeing quite a lot of quality. Even like, teams like Club Brugge were doing, really, really well. Of course, losing out to Aston Villa, but even their style of play, the way that they were playing, and of course, we thought that PSG, we didn't know if they were going to get knocked out of this competition, obviously, because of their positioning. Manchester City obviously just made it through to the next round by the skin of their teeth. Like, it's been a mad competition, and I know a lot of people have their thoughts and feelings in regards to the Champions League format. I know some people don't fuck with it. I know some people are like, yeah, I don't really like the way that it is. And to be honest, it more sounds like that comes from Liverpool fans who are just salty that, we lost, to PSG. And, it's all of that kind of stuff, because I'm sure if we had beaten PSG, I don't feel like anybody would have been complaining too much at the format. Ultimately, you have to beat who you have to beat. You know what I mean? It's the Champions League at the end of the day. So if you got to face these teams at some point in time. Can't always just face Porto like we do every freaking season in the last 16, of Champions League football, and these kind of teams, and then we're only worrying about the big teams come to semi-finals. Nah, man, I want to see these big games, and that's why I like this kind of format this season, because I'm seeing Arsenal versus Real Madrid as a quarterfinal, Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan, even Aston Villa versus PSG in terms of how the teams have obviously played this season. And then, of course, you're going to have that maybe on paper, like it looks like, Barcelona versus Borussia Dortmund. But again, that's always been a good game anyway. So, like I said, man, large up to the Champions League format. I hope this obviously is going to continue. I want to see more of these matchups. I want to see some of the big teams get knocked out early, because it just makes for interesting viewing, if I'm being honest with you. Like I said, I'm tired of watching Manchester City in a group full of FC Copenhagen, and fucking Sporting is probably the toughest team, even though I know they lost to Sporting obviously this season, but 9 times out of 10 they usually beat them. And probably the toughest team that they'll face in the last 16, it used to be like Lyon. I remember they faced Lyon like a couple of times, and you're like, oh, okay, I know, yes, not that they can't beat them, but that's not really fun to watch. This is fun to watch. And of course, the football on show has been absolutely amazing, man. But listen, man, let's dive into it. So of course, we had Tuesday's games. Obviously, we had Arsenal versus Madrid and Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan. Obviously, going into the games, when we're looking at it, obviously Arsenal versus Madrid, let's not lie, most of us thought, yeah, you know what, actually, tell a lie. Obviously, big up to Savage, because I know Savage mentioned, like, when we spoke in terms of what we thought the result might be, he said, I think, draw or Arsenal, right? And I was like, yeah, like, it's one of those. I not that I expected Arsenal to win, but it wasn't a surprise that they won. I think it was just more surprising at how good that they actually were and how bad obviously Real Madrid was, and of course the scoreline. But when I looked at it on the face of it, I was like, yeah, I can't. It's almost like I expect Madrid to probably not even play that well. Do you know what I mean? Coming away to England, I thought, yeah, you know what? They're probably going to just do their normal thing, which is look kind of dodgy, but then they'll nick a goal randomly. And to be fair, they had opportunities to do so. Like, let's not lie, they did have opportunities to obviously score in the game, but they didn't. They didn't. And of course, Declan Rice with two bad boy free kicks. I can't even lie to you. Two absolute bad boy free kicks in the game. And I think that Arsenal were absolutely deserved winners. Like, we're not gonna try and do revisionism over here. They were, as much as I felt like Madrid probably could have scored a goal, Arsenal would deserve winners anyway. So at best 3-1, kind of thing in this type of game. And yeah, man, they just dominated them. They just dominated them, all over the park. Madrid just looked like they were, I don't know, they passive. It was, like I said, a typical Real Madrid performance in these kind of games. But of course, then they turn up, obviously, at the Bernabeu. 3-0, though, is tricky. It's very, very tricky, even for Real Madrid. Even they might look like they could potentially get knocked out. And if I'm being honest, I never really saw that coming. I generally thought, nah, man, Real Madrid will do the business. Obviously, we've still got a second leg to go, so things can change. I'm not saying that they can't, but I do think it's going to be relatively difficult, for Real Madrid. And Arsenal are not a team that concede that many goals. I think they've really conceded about 6, I think, in the Champions League this season anyway. So, yeah, I feel like it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky for Real Madrid. I'm not saying it's impossible, though. You know what I mean? Real Madrid are the type of team. You score 2 goals in that first half, yeah, then I know it's game over. Like, then I'll know, okay, second half, yeah, they're definitely gonna win this game, or at least take it into extra time at the bare minimum. So yeah, Arsenal still got a job on their hands. They know who Real Madrid are, or we know what Real Madrid are about, and we've seen them in previous competitions. So listen, man, we just have to wait and see on that one. Obviously, Declan Rice, of course, getting the man of the match. Bro, if you score 2 banging free kicks, you deserve the man of the match. But there were some other good players on the pitch as well, though, man. I thought Partey was all right as well. Partey seems to be like, obviously, Arsenal fans will probably be able to tell me better in terms of how he's played this season. I've not really focused too much on him, but I feel like in the games that I have watched of Arsenal and really focused on a Thomas Partey, he's played well, like in those kind of games. Obviously, the game against Liverpool, I thought he played, well, especially playing that right back in that game. But when I've seen him in recent weeks anyway, when I've been watching Arsenal, I'm watching Thomas Partey and he's covering ground really, really well. There was a period of time I remember watching Partey and thinking, yeah, this guy is just typical AF, innit? Like, you've lied about your age. Now we're at the stage where your age is even catching up with you. But for some reason, he just seems to have kind of almost got this new lease of life. Do you know what I mean? So big up to Thomas Partey. I thought he was good. Miles Lewis-Skelly, I thought he was good in the game as well. Marino, very cold finish, by the way. Yo, Arsenal don't have a striker, but boy, listen, I could use a player like this, I could use a player like this in my starting 11 to play up front, because the finish that he put for that was absolutely brilliant. I can't even lie, it was absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, man, again, big up to Marino, and I thought like he played well anyway in the game. I thought Saka played well. I know bare people were talking about, but he didn't have no dribbles and he didn't do this and he didn't do that. I said, nah, man. You see, with that, don't worry about the stats. Like, I think I put out a video saying, don't let the stats fool you, because if you actually watch the game, Saka was threatening in that game. Do you know what I mean? We saw the free kick that Modric gave away on the edge of the box there. Obviously when he tried to obviously cut inside, but also he was just a threat. He's flashed that ball across. I remember that because I remember him getting angry when he flashed that ball across and no one was in the box. That's where Marino's like, we need a striker, like, kind of thing. But the finish, again, like I said, for Marino was a very, very good finish. And yeah, man, like I said, it's just one of those kind of games. Whether or not Real Madrid will be able to, come back in the second leg, I don't really know. I'm still holding out hope more than anything else, as to, Arsenal getting themselves knocked out. But listen, Arsenal, one of them teams, I feel like, listen, the way that they played this season, I don't think has been their scintillating best. I don't think that they've operated at the level that they have been operating over the last few couple of seasons. But the way that they are playing this season might actually help them in a tournament like the Champions League, because of the kind of pragmatic style, the patient football that might work in the Champions League. Obviously, we don't know. Everything is all, we've got to wait until that time kind of comes. But listen, it's showing to be, pretty fruitful for them at this current moment in time. So let's wait and see, man, for that second leg. And I think it's going to be an absolutely cracking game. Next up, we've got Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan. I can't remember if I had Inter. I think I had a draw in my mind. I was like, yeah, I think this game would have been a draw come the end of it. But Inter Milan obviously winning it kind of late on. You see this game, I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the full game, obviously, because it was on at the same time. But I watched the highlights of this game. But then I listened to a few people speaking about it and stuff like that. Don't sleep on Inter Milan, Bearing in mind, this is the team that made the Champions League final against Manchester City just a couple of seasons ago. The way that they play, they're another team that obviously they play like this, like in general, right? The way that they play, I feel like it's so suited to European football. In these kind of ties, like they don't need to go out and win 3-0 as an example to look comfortable, if that makes sense. Whereas Arsenal, felt you need to win 3-0 because obviously you're playing against Real Madrid, so it's a different kind of level. But you need to win 3-0 in order to give you a level of comfortability. I don't even feel that going back to the San Siro, that Inter Milan are going to, necessarily look at this and think, oh, okay, we need to score again. I don't know. I don't really feel like that when it comes to, when it does come to a team like Inter Milan. I feel like they're going to be relatively calm. Do you know what I mean? With this kind of result. But again, I'll let Michael obviously chat to us about that game. Big up to yourself, bro. Love for joining me this morning. You good?
Yeah, all good, bro. G, you've been talking.
I like your top. I like your top.
Hey, today they warrant this jacket. They warrant the jacket. G, you've been telling me all season football is dead. There's no point in football anymore. We can all just watch anime. You got anything else to say anymore? Because
no. I said football in England is dead.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
I'm a Barcelona fan. I can't say, bro, I'm watching my team play free-flowing football. No, I can't complain of that.
No, yeah. So, I mean, this week was insane, though. The quality of goals we saw, even just from Inter, that first goal they scored, you know how many passes they did, G, before they scored the goal? 37 passes. Bayern didn't touch the ball for about 2 minutes. The combination play. Bastoni, bro. We got to have a serious conversation about Bastoni. One of the best center backs in the world. Easily top 3. Easily. He's better than... Right now, he's better than Kubarsi. Kubarsi, in the future, will be better. But you can only name me Van Dijk, and that's it. Who's better than Alessandro Bastoni? He is just so comfortable on the ball. Defensively is a monster. Going forward, like if this guy plays as a left wing back, which he has done a couple of times this season, elite. So there is no game for Bastoni that's weak for him. Elite in all aspects, and I just love this Inter side because everybody wants to be the flashy cars. They want to see the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris of, Barcelona and PSG with the attacks. Inter are just got a Rolls Royce. They're just elite in all aspects of the game. And that first goal they scored, I mean, the layup from Thuram and that Trivela finish from Lautaro was absolutely insane. Like, I have not seen a Trivela finish like that, G. First time outside the boot. Insane goal from Inter. Now, I wonder what your thinking is about this, G. With Bayern's injuries, do you think that cost them big time? With no Musiala especially?
Yeah. I think, especially when I saw, obviously leading up to the game, and it was like one by one, players just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. This player's injured, that player's injured. That I was like, yeah, against Inter Milan, now you need your full strength squad. I don't care where you're playing. You have to have your full strength squad to even give you an ounce of a chance. Obviously, I know Harry Kane should be scoring those kind of chances. I get that. But even take that aside, again, I only watched the highlights, so I can only speak from that angle. But when I watched them, I was like, but Inter didn't really look stressed. You know that feeling of like, I say this about Real Madrid at times, right? And they were a little bit stressed when the third goal went in. But you see, when I watch a team, sometimes, even if they concede a goal, I always look to certain players' faces. Like I'll look to the captain. I'll look to maybe the striker. Nobody looked stressed. They just looked like, okay, like, all right, fair enough. You got me. It was one of those kind of moments. But then they just continued playing how they needed to play, and obviously getting that late goal kind of thing. But obviously, I don't know how you kind of saw it in the end.
Look, man, the average age of the team for the starting lineup against Bayern was 31 years old. So this is basically an uncle team out there. This is like a YMCA league team. If you're just talking about age for Inter, but they got the experience. They look at guys like Pavard, Di Marco, obviously Barella, all of them. Bastoni, I think, was the youngest player for them at 25 years old in the starting 11. Shows you leadership, experience. Jon Sommer, very underrated goalkeeper. I think they kind of knew, all right, we'll take a 1-1 draw at the Allianz. At San Siro, we got this. Inter are just such a strong team defensively. That's why they've only conceded 3 goals. 3 goals in the UCL this season. 3! I mean, what the fuck are we talking about here when it comes to this Inter side? And yeah, Lautaro, I think this guy gets highly disrespected. I get that he didn't perform in the UCL final 2023, World Cup 2022. You could talk about Lautaro, but over and over again, when the toughest moments occur, Lautaro steps up for nation and for club, and he gets a wonderful goal. Wow, he's now the top goal scorer for Inter in UCL. Jeez, wow, that is. I didn't know about that, but I love Lautaro. I just think his overall play is so good because Thuram is more of the physical striker, just like a vulture in the box. Lautaro does everything. He does all the link-up play, dropping deep to receive the ball. He is basically the linchpin for every counterattack they do. Now, Inter did not have their 2 fullbacks in this game either. No Di Marco or Dumfries. If they get those guys back, if they get to the semifinal, Inter and Barca semifinal, wow, that is going to hit like crack.
That's when I will start to get a bit worried for Barcelona in the games like this, because the space is not going to necessarily be there for players like Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Firmino, Lewandowski to kind of operate in. Inter Milan can close that down. And then going the other way, they're so patient. I feel like Barca, don't get twisted, Barcelona play brilliant football and all of that kind of good stuff, but they can be impatient at times. They want to, because they're still young. Like the team, I think the Barcelona average age is like 24 in La Liga. I think it's like the youngest.
Lewandowski's 37 years old as well.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like you've only got 2 players of that kind of over even 30 ages, whereas everyone else is under that. So I'm like, they can be quite impatient coming up against Inter Milan, as you just said. If that average age is 30, was it 31? You said
31.
Bro,
yeah,
come on, bro. Like that's just experience. That is. I don't need to slap you 3-0. I'll beat you 1-0 and still be comfortable going into a second leg against, Barcelona if it's at the Camp Nou or whatever.
But it's experienced mixed with quality. And I think it's underrated quality that people don't want to hype up. Like Barella. This dude is a top 3 midfielder of the world. Bastoni is top 3 center back in the world. Lautaro, you can maybe say top 5, top 10 striker in the world. So these guys got Di Marco, one of the best left backs in the world. I mean, Jon Sommer, I think he's like 36, 35 years old. He just loves to torment Bayern Munich. He did that at Borussia Mönchengladbach. I guess he's doing it at Inter right now. So I think Inter have underrated quality that, they don't shine as much as like a PSG, a Barcelona, Arsenal over the Tuesday with Bukayo Saka and these sort of guys. But Inter just do it quietly. They're going about their business. And they're on for the treble as well.
This is why I'm like, obviously I know you were joking at the beginning, but this is why I was saying, like, people who are talking about, footballers died and, all of this kind of stuff. I'm like, it's died in England. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, we don't have the quality that we think we do in England. But I feel like the Champions League this season anyway, I said this just before you came on, even teams like Club Brugge, for example, the way that they were playing, yes, I know they got knocked out, fair enough, and they got knocked out to a good Aston Villa side. But the way that they were playing, I was like, you're still seeing good football outside of obviously England and in Europe. Even Celtic were playing pretty decent during the Champions League, campaign. And I was like, right, okay, cool. It is just an England thing for me in terms of the overall quality of that league. Now you're seeing it. No one can tell me we've called, and I know this is not really to the point, but we've called League 1, we've called it the Farmers League. These times they just bopped the best team in England off the park over 2 legs, right? And we're like, oh,
well, they've beaten 3 Premier League teams.
And they've now 3 Premier League teams. You've obviously got Inter Milan. We know what Inter Milan are about. We know what Barcelona are about. We know what these other teams are about. So I'm like, surely then it should go to the point that I was making to everybody, which is, in England, the quality ain't really all of that. But over everywhere else, bro, come on, man. Like, we're seeing quality all the time. Everyone's talking about Vitinha, João Neves, Barcola, Doué, Kvaratskhelia. We're talking about all these other teams. I don't hear anybody talking about, like all these teams in England. Why? Because we don't really have that level of quality. But that's a conversation.
Do you think it's over for Bayern though? Do you see them overturning it? Because there's no away goals, so they're only one goal down.
I think Inter Milan will go through. I think it'll still be a close game. I don't feel like they'll run away with it, but I don't think that Bayern will. I just don't feel like they'll have enough unless they can just be ultra clinical, i.e., Harry Kane. You have to put that chance away. Like there is no excuses in the next game. Chances like that you have to put away because. And listen, Harry Kane is Harry Kane. We know he's an absolute bagsman. I'm not saying he ain't Nunes where I'm like, oh, well, he's always gonna miss. I know he can put those chances away, but in moments like this is where I actually need you. Like I need you to score in those kind of situations. So I think Inter will go through, but I don't think it'll be comfortable. I can see another 2-1 victory for Inter Milan. And yeah, I think they'll go through. But
I just think for Bayern, they got to go into this summer transfer window and get a left winger. I think they got to get Ademola Lookman. I think that's the guy they need to get.
Okay, let's go with that then. Yeah, if they get a left winger, whoever that is, let's go with Lookman for now, right? What would then be your front four, so to speak? Like the three.
Musiala, Olise, Kane, and Lookman. That would be the front four, and that front four is cooking all day, every day. You ain't stopping that front four. So that's what I'm. Because Leroy Sané, I mean, this guy's trying to get a new contract, bro. Just go to Saudi. Ni hao, she, and all this. Learn Mandarin at this point, Leroy Sané, because he's done. He's not going to go to a top club in Europe. He just isn't. So, yeah, it sucks for Leroy, but careers just fall off.
Do you think? Because I think I was seeing a report yesterday that obviously Bayern Munich, we know they always want German top talent, right? So Florian Wirtz is obviously a name that gets popped up.
Oh God!
Do you think if let's say they sign Florian Wirtz, could you not see then a front four, Musiala on the left, Elise right, Wirtz in the middle? Okay, cool. No, I didn't know if you wanted it out and out. Okay, fair enough.
I just don't want it to happen, G, because then I just know what's going to happen.
No, obviously. All right, let's move on to Wednesday's games. Obviously, last night's games: PSG versus Villa and Barcelona versus Dortmund. Before we look at obviously the result, we know what the results was. But before we get into that, when you looked at these kind of matchups, what in terms of the PSG game, for example, what were you kind of looking for more from Unai Emery? What was you looking for against? Obviously, they're going away to the Parc des Princes.
I was actually really excited for the PSG Aston Villa game. I thought it was going to actually be a really good tactical matchup because we know Unai Emery in European competitions, you can't go up against that guy. Now, I knew Villa were just going to defend deep. 8-man, pretty much 100-man behind the ball and just try and get a 1-goal loss or draw away in Paris. And that's what every team has been doing. Man City, Liverpool, Atletico, PSV, obviously Aston Villa yesterday. They all just try and defend. So I think Unai Emery just approached it the correct way. Get a draw or 1-goal loss and take it back to Villa Park. Because I think Aston Villa are unbeaten in 20 games at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right.
Something like that. Yeah, they're a very good home team. And then for PSG, it was just about, just get the victory and be clinical. Because that was the one thing that was their detriment against Liverpool in the first leg. They weren't clinical, and it almost cost them. And then the game, I mean, wow. What do you want to talk about individual talent? You want to talk about Harlem Globetrotters? That was PSG right there. I test FC, people. They are I test FC for you. The individual brilliance from Desiree Doué. That goal was stupid. He was like off balance. I think somebody pushed him a little bit, and yet to get the power off the shot and off the crossbar and in, Desiree Doué was sensational. And G, you know my guy Kvara. I've been singing his praises since 2022. Since when I saw him play for Georgia, I said, "No, this guy's built different." I can't pronounce the last name. All I just know is he's a baller. And wow, that goal he scored. He basically sent Disasi to the adoption center and renamed him Axel Kvaratskhelia. I felt bad for Axel Disasi. I thought Cash actually did pretty decent job on Kvaratskhelia in the first half. And once Disasi got into the game, it was curtains. It was curtains for them. And look, Villa, I think they would have been happy to take a 2-1 loss. I think they did defensively were pretty resolute, but that third goal is a killer. Now let's see if that's going to change the tie. Because if it was 2-1, we got a game, and it's going to be an interesting tie. But Nuno Mendes then killed the game off with the 3-1. It's not over. I would say that Villa can still get an early goal, and anything can happen. And we've seen PSG away from home in Europe, not like the greatest compared to what they're at home. But it's just that when you give this PSG team space on the ball, they can kill you.
Nah, man. Michael said it best. I mean, nah. Kvaratskhelia goal was so dumb. Like, and the reason why I felt like it was so dumb is because the angle of where he shoots it, I was like, Martinez isn't a shit goalkeeper, by the way, people. Like, he's actually a good goalkeeper. So I wouldn't have expected you to get beaten there. Like, Disasi is Disasi shit, anyways. Like, I expect you to get beaten regardless. But Martinez, in that angle, I said, nah. In my mind, I was like, I know he's good with his left and right foot. I know he can score on both feet. But I was like, why would he take a shot here? That was why he took the shot there, because he knew that he could put that ball, of course, into the back of the net. And that's when I was like, yeah, like, as you said, Desiree Doué. Like, you know what's funny, yeah? I like Desiree Doué, right? I feel like he's a interesting, like, young player, like, in terms of he can play he can play central midfield, he can play as an 8, he can play as a 10, he can play out wide. And I like that about him, right? It's so funny because when we talk about, like, obviously for Liverpool and talk about signings and stuff like that, it's almost like if I think of a player like him, I almost know in my mind he wouldn't start, which I find weird. Which I don't know what it is. It's like this thing. I'm like, but I don't feel like he'd start. Like, I feel like he'd end up starting like Gakpo. And I'm like, but then you just waste the talent like him. That's why I would love to sign him in theory if I was able to sign anybody. But then I'm like, nah, don't sign players like that, because players like this, and by the way, this goes to all young players I always talk about. You need to play games in order to be able to develop. He wouldn't have gotten any better had he gone to a different type of club who weren't going to play him. Thankfully, Luis Enrique is playing Desiree Doué. But if he had said, nah, I'm going to just kind of maybe wait and give you a season or two to kind of bed in, he wouldn't be as good as he is right now. João Neves, they're not good players unless they play. So when we talk about young players and all of these kind of things, I'm always like, yeah, there's so many wonder kids, if you want to call them that, around the world. There's Bear. There's some in England. There's some in every single country, but they're not playing. So they get to 16 to 18 and you're still not really seeing them play. Then you're wondering why the time they hit 23, you're like, oh, what happened to this guy? Well, he's not playing. That's what happened to him. They need to play games. That's why Barcola gets seen as the way that he gets seen. I know he's been a little bit kind of off it recently, but I think that's just more form than anything else. He's a really, really good player. But when you're watching these guys, if they don't play, I promise you, they're not going to look as good as you guys think that they will. But it is what it is. Alexander saying, with Liverpool, it's slot. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. What's this? 314,650. Bonus is 384,000. Kvaratskhelia is LSE were never going to give him them wages. Yeah, well, he's gone to PSG now. I mean, what can we do about that? We played 10 men with Gakpo. I hear that. Vitinha was holding bench at Wolves. But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying is that at Wolves, he wasn't playing. He had the quality, clearly, because we can see that he's obviously a quality player. But if you're not playing, you're not developing. You go somewhere else, you play, and you play consistently enough, look at it now. Because there's no, like, I can't see a world where he was super shit at Wolves. I didn't even watch him at Wolves. But I can't understand how was he so bad at Wolves, and all of a sudden now he's one of the best midfielders in the world? Like, I don't even know how that even translates. Clearly, you're just not playing. You've got quality, like all young players and all these star wonder kids do, but you're not playing. So I can't really, I mean, it's difficult to really judge it, kind of thing. And listen, man, sometimes I feel like other players, if they move to certain teams in certain countries, I feel like you're able to see, like, they're able to express themselves a lot better. And I feel like he's one of those kind of players, man. But last but not least, my boys, Barca versus Borussia Dortmund. I said before the game that I felt, and the game did pan out that way in the first half, I felt it was going to be a difficult game for Barcelona because of the threats that Dortmund have. Guirassy should have fucking scored. I don't know what he had 2 opportunities, but the main one he should have scored. Like, I was like, I expected you to score in that moment, and you didn't. And it almost felt like, okay, cool. They also had Barcelona also blocked quite a lot of shots on the line in that second half when the ball was getting cut back. I remember there was actually a sequence where it happened twice. And I just felt like in this game for Barcelona, don't get twisted, the score was 4-0, but that's more just due to, I mean, you can see their front three. that was why they won. It was their front three are so deadly. You can't give these guys opportunities. But I'll be honest, in the first half, Borussia Dortmund were getting in behind. I can't lie to you. They were getting in behind and they were causing a threat because of Barcelona's ridiculously high line that they play, obviously, under Hansi Flick. And when you've got pace like Adeyemi, who I felt was on drugs last night, I didn't understand why he was so amped up. But yeah, he I don't know what he ate before the game, but yeah, he just felt like
it's the fufu, bro.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It couldn't even have been the fufu because the fufu, like, that gets you tired. Like you're more tired, you're lethargic. Like he should have been that, bro. He was wired. Like he got a yellow card. He got a yellow card and he's still making stupid fouls. He's still, doing like little niggly thing. I was like, bro, you need to. And he got a yellow card for pulling Koundé's hair as well. I was like, come on, man. Like, that's just so silly. But yeah, for me, listen, look, emphatic victory. Don't get it twisted. But if you didn't watch the game, that wasn't the story of the game for me. Like, I did feel that Dortmund had opportunities to score. Had they been a bit more clinical, I felt like this was more of a 4-2 type of game where I'm like, okay, Barca, yes, will still come out with winners, but Dortmund have got a couple of goals, meaning they can go back to that yellow wall, and we know that could be a bit crazy, and they could easily still score 2 goals and make it tricky for Barcelona. But I think now, slyly, I feel like this tie is done because I don't see Barcelona not scoring. So yeah, I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, like the first half was pretty even. I thought I was like, okay, Dortmund have gotten some better form in the Bundesliga under Niko Kovac. But then once Schlotterbeck is down injured for the season, I said, yeah, no, this tie is wrapped up because he's actually been one of their better players in recent weeks. And the first half, Dortmund had their opportunities. Like, it's not like Barca. By the way, Rafinha is shameless. This guy's just stat padding right now.
Yeah, I know.
Why are you still in the goal like that? That is just such shameless behavior. But I rate it. If you want to get the Ballon d'Or, do it by any means possible. So he steals the goal from Kubarsi. And then Dortmund created a couple good. Now, I don't understand why Gittins was starting on the right wing. That made no sense to me. You could clearly see he was more comfortable down the left wing, whereas Adeyemi is more comfortable down. It didn't make any sense to me with Niko Kovac. Yeah, then the second half, it was.
Do you think so? Because I thought that as well. Because when I saw the team sheet, I thought they just got it. I thought they just got it wrong in terms of they were supposed to swap it over and they didn't. And then when I saw the match start, they played in that position. Do you think because like Balde and not so much Koundé, but Balde anyway, because of he likes to run on the outside? Because remember, he goes on the outside, Rafinha cuts in. Do you think they've done that in terms of putting Gittins, who is naturally right-footed, to be able to try and combat that? Adeyemi to then do that on the opposite side with Koundé, in terms of when he then wants to bomb on the outside, he's left-footed, so he can almost. And I'm just trying to think what could potentially.
Maybe they were just looking for those crosses into the box into Guirassy. Maybe that's what they were looking for, because then obviously Adeyemi, much stronger foot, left-footed, can put an in-swinger into the box. Same thing with Gittins, right-footed. I think that's what they were trying to do. Now it kind of worked out because they got the crosses into Guirassy, and then Guirassy said, "Okay, I'm going to show up with my AFCON form here, not get any goals." I don't know what happened to him yesterday in Barcelona. And then Barca, that second half, I mean, they annihilated them. Once they got the space, and Dortmund defensively are so naive, it was curtains. And Lewandowski, he has scored the most goals against Dortmund than any other team. How could he do that, bro? Against your old club? I think he scored 29 goals. 29 goals in 28 games against Dortmund. The most of any club.
That's ridiculous, bro.
It's ridiculous. So, shout out to Lewandowski. Even though people could say, okay, he should be in the Ballon d'Or voting. I mean, if you've been watching Lewandowski this season, he has missed some easy, and I mean easy. He should be on like 60 goals this season with the amount of chances he's had. But it doesn't matter. If Lewandowski comes up clutch in the knockout stages of the Champions League, because that's a criticism that he's been given a lot throughout his career, then he might be the front runner, in my opinion. To do this at his age, stupidly good from him and Lamine Yamal. But I would say that Fermin Lopez was, for me, the best player yesterday. I thought Fermin was unbelievable all over the field.
Talk to me about. It's funny because I'm gonna, once I finish this stream, I'm gonna record a video about him. He doesn't get the praise from the wider audience, maybe because people just don't really, which is fair. Like I understand he's not the star name in the team, right? When you've got Lamine Yamal and all these other guys, but bro, I don't think people watch Fermin Lopez. This guy is an absolute baller. But Michael, man, chat to me about Fermin, man.
Oh yeah, I like when I was watching him at the Olympics last year. He was by far the best player, and there was Olise, Desiree Doué in the Olympics. I was like, who's this Barca guy? How do Barca just AI generate these players? Fermi Lopez was basically dragging Spain to that gold medal. And yeah, this season he hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities because there's Dani Olmo, Gavi. There's so much competition in this Barca team. But in the Champions League, Fermi Lopez has been that guy alongside Rafinha. And yesterday, you could just see his energy off the ball, driving with the ball, finding those passes into Lewandowski. Granted, he should have had 2 goals in the game because Lamine Yamal sent him up perfectly at the edge of the box. But I think Fermi Lopez was the best player alongside Pedri. Also, De Jong. De Jong in recent weeks, he's got that Dembele arc about him right now. 27, okay, now I'm going to peak in my career. That's what De Jong is doing.
No, it's bro. I keep telling, like, Michael said it, man. There's too much competition in that team, like, where for me might not always get the game time. But if you look at even if let's just even go recency bias. Anybody just go and watch Barcelona since the international break, because they've had quite a lot of games just because of had to fit in Osasuna game and then Girona game and then Betis and then obviously this now. They played 4 matches since then, which is kind of a lot when you think about it in the last few weeks, right? In those 4 games, Firmin has been so good, bro. Him and Ferran Torres have been really, really good since that international break. Again, Ferran Torres is another player you don't really get that much opportunities because you've got Lewandowski, so I don't really need to play you. But they're good players to come in. This is what I talk about, people. When I talk about having quality that you don't care, not that you don't care because you want Lewandowski to play, but you have quality that you don't mind Dani Olmo's injured. You're like, oh, Olmo's injured? Okay, no worries. We've got Firmin anyway. We're good. We're not stressing. No one's missing, Dani Olmo. Obviously, Dani Olmo is a better player, but they're not missing him. Whereas other teams I look at, like, and I do mean quite a lot of other teams I look at and I think to myself, like, once you miss like this one player, all of a sudden everything shuts down. That's why I actually feel that Aston Villa, why they've got the attack that they've got, because in their head, if one player gets injured, they've got all these other guys to be able to come in. So I don't feel like they're going to miss. Yes, you miss maybe that quality, but you've still got quality in reserve anyway. It's just different quality, than before. So listen, man, Barcelona, bro, listen, I can rap about Barcelona all day, every day. Koundé, yep, you're right. Honestly, I think you sort of comment there. Yeah, you're right. Koundé is he's top, man. He's just a defender. I like to defend. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm strong, I'm quick. I can help out in attack sometimes. Sometimes he'll even pull out a little trick, flick the ball over a defender's head, when he's going in for goal and stuff like that. He's just, just one of those kind of, bless you. He's just one of those kind of, individuals. So,
you know who Koundé reminds me of? He reminds me of Zanetti at fullback.
Yes. They're just solid. They're just so solid, like kind of.
But they're not like elegant going forward, but they're just solid, just so solid defensively.
Although, to be fair,
Barcelona are going to need that. If they want to win this Champions League, they need Koundé, Cubarsí, Inigo Martinez, and Balde to be at the top of their game. Because we saw in the first half, they gave up opportunities. By the way, I don't know if this is true, G. I don't think Barca have lost when Szczesny's been in goal.
No, Szczesny. I saw it when I was doing the thing. Szczesny is right now, I'm sure he is holding the record for longest unbeaten run for a newly signed player. I'm sure he's holding
insane.
The run.
What?
Barcelona. That's mad, isn't it? That's so bad. But bearing in mind, they've signed Suarez, they've signed like all of these guys.
Neymar,
like, and he's holding the record. Ronaldinho, like, hey, listen, man. Szczesny is big up to Szczesny. It's actually funny. Because the thing is, Szczesny is a calm goal. He's not great, but he's just a calm goalkeeper. And I think going to a team like Barcelona, which do actually like to play out from the back and stuff like that, I actually think that works for him. Like, it's now he can play in a team where he can do those silly things that he used to do at Arsenal, at Juventus, and no one's going to scream at you because that's the way we want to play anyway. So I feel like it works. So
is he signing of the season?
He's definitely up there. I will definitely say he's up there. He keeps.
No, this is wild.
No, but he keeps clean sheets. He keeps clean sheets.
He does keep clean sheets. No, but nobody would have told me last summer. Yeah, Wojciech Szczesny is going to be signing of the season, and he's going to play for Barcelona and maybe win a treble. Are you kidding me? Nah, football is the wildest.
If he wins a treble this season, you know what? Not even a treble. Even if he just wins like a trophy or two, that I still wouldn't have believed that Szczesny would come in and play a pivotal role. But I've told you already about ter Stegen, man. Like, I'm not saying keep Szczesny as number one, but I'm telling you, Barcelona, go and sign another goalkeeper. I don't even feel like.
I think ter Stegen's hairline is done now. he
Yeah,
might
man.
not be getting because Peña is a decent backup. If you just need to rotate, Peña is a pretty good. What's the future for Ter Stegen now? He might be done.
Nah, he's done at Barcelona. Like, I don't want him there anymore. Like, I'm not confident with him in goal. I've just not liked his last couple of seasons, and I feel like why he stayed or why people rate him so highly is just more. You're more just going on based upon history. Like, you're like, well, he's like Germany's number 2, obviously behind Neuer at one point. Whereas I'm like, I don't even think he's even that anymore. I don't even look at him as that type of guy. I think he needs to go somewhere else in order to get back. But listen, that's a story for another day. And no, Barcelona have lost in the Champions League. They've lost one game.
Monaco.
Yeah, they lost against Monaco.
They got the red card early in that game.
Yeah. So yeah, just like Liverpool at the time. Yeah, they had lost the game. I think Arsenal have only conceded 6. Michael said that Inter have only conceded 3, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
And only 1 in open play.
Come on, man.
Which was the Bayern Munich goal.
That's done. That's so dumb. Let me ask you this, obviously, before we close on out of here. Based on what you've seen so far in these first legs, who do you have winning the Champions League? Or you know what? Who do you think gets into the final? Let's just go with that. Who do you think gets into the final, and then who do you think is going to win it from there?
The final? I mean, before the season even started, I had Inter winning the Champions League. Okay. So I think Inter are going to win the Champions League. I just think they're a solid team defensively and offensively. And in the final, it might be PSG, you know? PSG might be making... Yeah. Okay, so when we look at these ties, the Barca is wrapped up. I think that's done. PSG, Aston Villa, there could be a possibility that there could be an overturn in the tie. Inter Bayern still sort of 50-50. The Arsenal Real Madrid, I'm not going to lie, I don't think it's over. I'm giving 10% chance for Real Madrid. Like, that's no disrespect to Arsenal. It's just Madrid. It's just basically, I just look at the badge and I'm saying, okay, you got a chance here. So if I'm thinking Real Madrid are knocked out, Bayern are knocked out, Aston Villa knocked out, Dortmund knocked out, I look at the remaining 4 teams and I'm like, yeah, Inter are for me the most solid team. And then PSG, I think they can beat Arsenal now. Compared to what it was in October when they played against each other, that PSG team were not as fluid as they are right now. This PSG team, 100 times better than when they played Arsenal. So I think PSG can beat them in over 2 legs. And I got PSG Inter, and I got Inter winning the Champions League this season.
The thing is, I don't even disagree with you. Like, I can see your thinking behind it. Obviously, I want Barcelona to get there, but excuse me, I can see it. You know, they talk about this PSG versus Arsenal, right? I'm sorry, but they had no Dembele. Obviously, 𝐒𝐈 hadn't signed at the time. Lee Kangin was playing, but they had a front 3 of Doué, Barcola, and Lee.
Like, I think Zaire Emery was in the midfield, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it was midfield of Vitinha, Zaire Emery, and Joao Neves. So they had a good midfield, regardless. But they didn't have the front 3 that we know that they obviously have had. And they didn't have the form that they're coming into this. At that point in the Champions League, I felt like they were still almost like trying to find themselves in terms of their style of play. And I felt like that's why I felt like 𝐒𝐈 coming into their team has really changed everything. Because remember, they don't play with a striker anymore. Gonzalo Ramos sits on the bench. Muani, he's at fucking Juventus. Like, they don't need a striker. And I felt like that was what he was waiting for. It's like he was waiting to get a player in, whoever it might have been. Obviously, they got 𝐒𝐈. So, yeah, man, I think it's going to be a different type of proposition.
So you don't think the Arsenal Real Madrid is over either?
No. I said it already. I said Arsenal are good enough to go through. I'm not going to discredit them. They are actually good enough, and their style of play will help them. If Real Madrid score a goal in that first half, from there, I think Real Madrid will just go on and just win it. Because I feel like if they get and it doesn't need to be an early goal. They just need 1 goal in the first half to then go into the second half and only need 2 to then go into extra time at the bare minimum. I think once that happens, it's game done. But if Arsenal can hold them off or even score themselves, then we can have a different conversation.
Well, let's be honest, G. Real Madrid are going to have to improve immensely. Because these performances recently, in the past month, wow, they are struggling big time. It's going to have to be like an Mbappe masterclass or Vinny just stepping up massively, or Rodrigo. Like, the front 3 now got to cook if they want to knock out Arsenal. So, it should be interesting next Wednesday at the Santiago Bernabeu. I cannot wait. I feel like it's going to be fireworks.
I can't. I just hope it's a.
So what's your prediction for the final then? Give me your prediction of what the streets want. What do the football streets want? And what is G's logical head thinking?
The streets want PSG versus Barcelona. That's what the streets want. They want that. But what I think will happen is it will be. I'm just trying to remember the side of the who's on which side. I think Barcelona.
You would have Arsenal, PSG most likely in the semi-final, and then Barca Inter on the other side.
Oh, so it's Arsenal. Oh, so it's Arsenal on that side. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Inter Milan, fucking hell.
Yeah, Inter Barca is a really interesting semi-final. I can't lie.
I think the winner of the Champions League will be that game. I'm going to say Barcelona just out of bias, but I think the winner of the Champions League will be that game, Inter versus Barcelona. I think you're right, and you've convinced me enough now to, because you see, Michael always speaks about Inter Milan, and I'm always like, it's like I always need a bit more evidence, like to convince me. But I'll be honest, like I feel like I've watched them enough to say, especially this season, I've watched enough of Serie A to say, nah, man, Inter they're just different in these kind of competitions. And I think that now is their time. So I'm going to go Barca out of bias. Logical, I'm going to say Inter Milan, I think, could actually win. And if Inter was to face Arsenal, guys, you just watch that game. That'll be a very, very interesting game. That'll be a battle of a game of why I think Inter would win is Inter have a striker. They have 2 strikers. In fact, they have 3 strikers. Or maybe even 4, actually.
No, they got 4.
They got 4. They got 4.
Actually, they got 5. They got 5 strikers.
Who's the 5th one? They got Arnautovic,
Correa, Taremi, Arnautovic, Lautaro, and Thuram.
That's it. So if they've got all of these strikers and their style of play is the way it is, they'll come out on top because they've got that finisher in the box in Martinez, or even a Thuram could, get you a goal. Arsenal, I feel like if they come up against an Inter, I just don't feel like it would work. Like it might be able to work against a Real Madrid who are just in some shitty form, and defensively, Real Madrid are just not good anyway this season. They're just not good. Inter are not like that. As you just said, they've only conceded 1 goal on open play, and that was just the other day. So it doesn't look too well. But listen, I kept telling everybody at the beginning of the season, don't underestimate the Champions League. You don't know about European football. Anything can happen. I've seen Liverpool win 0-5 final. I've seen Monaco get to the final against and that was just random in itself. Like I've seen weird finals. I've seen weird games happen in the Champions League, people.
And we've seen Spurs make it to a UCL final. So anything's possible in this world. As Kevin Garnett would say, anything's possible.
Come on, bro. Anything's freaking possible.
But this is very interesting. Just one last thing. We have Inter going for a treble.
Yep.
PSG going for a treble.
Yep.
Barcelona going for a treble.
Yep.
Can you imagine if PSG and Inter or PSG Barcelona, they play against each other and the winner secures a treble on that day? Oh my God.
That'll be one of the biggest games in world football for a long time.
Yep.
But you know what's going to happen, right? It's going to be the team that's not going for a treble that's going to end up winning.
Arsenal.
Yeah, effectively. Listen,
that is G's first class flight straight to Ghana.
No.
He's out of there.
I can't have Arsenal winning. Like it just, Michael, it can't happen.
Yeah,
the smugness that will happen if they win it. Big up Roms because he said this on his Twitter. Even when Liverpool win the league, I promise you, no one's gonna care. Like no one's gonna care that Liverpool won the Premier League 20 times. That will not matter. It will be all about Arsenal in the summer. And what I actually think would happen if Arsenal were to win the Champions League, I actually have them as favourites next season to go and win the Premier League because I just feel like you just naturally would just go on a high. And
we'll do like the Liverpool 18-19 to 19-20.
Literally that. That's why I don't want that. Let's hope they crash and burn. Quick question, a couple questions here. If you had to pick and you could sign any one of the two, who would you sign? Doesn't matter the price. Let's just say whatever price.
Nuno.
You go Nuno.
That guy's so solid, bro. Yesterday he was culpable of the goal that Aston Villa scored. Look at that finish he had. Darwin Núñez wish he could finish like that.
Hey, you didn't see Darwin Núñez's video. Like, yo, he's
Alright, bro. I ain't watching no training videos. Come on, man. Inside.
no. It wasn't a training video. It was I thought you would have seen it, man. It's
Nah.
you know, I'll find it.
Okay.
You'll like this video. You'll like this video.
That doesn't sound like a good thing.
No, like honestly, listen. If it wasn't Darwin Núñez, yeah, the video was actually kind of cold. But it was because it was Darwin Núñez. Everyone was like, "Why are you showing videos? Like, we don't care. Like, just you know what I mean." All right, hold on. I'll show you now.
Yeah.
This is hilarious.
But who would you take, G? Would you take Balde or Nuno Mendes?
Oh shit! Hold on. I thought it was sharing already. My bad. Hold on.
Nah.
Why is it not coming up?
I think you got to stop the presentation. That's why. I think.
Oh yeah, I'm such an idiot.
There we go.
But who would I take? I'll take. Yeah, maybe. I think maybe Mendes. Yeah, I think he's a bit more complete.
As of now, right now, yeah, of course.
Yeah. This is just literally right now. If I had to generally pick a player, where is it? There we go. There we go.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Oh no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the video is actually cold when you think about it. Like it's actually.
Wait, did he post it himself?
Yeah, he posted himself. It's on.
Oh
Look, it's
my,
on,
no, Dios mío,
look,
por favor.
I'll show you.
Por
Look,
favor.
see? Darwin Núñez. Look, he said the thing says it's not about how many times I fall, it's about how many times I rise. Hey, Núñez is hilarious, you know. Hey, Núñez, you are.
Nah, fair play, Núñez. Fair play,
Yeah,
bro.
man. That's what I'm saying. Like,
That video I'm dying.
big up. Yeah, La Pantara. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Wizzy in that. Yeah, that was like I said, that was a cold video. I liked it. I was like, yo, this video is actually kind of cold. But because it's you, I'm like, bro, come on, man. Last question before we head on out of here. Do you guys think Flick will change his tactics if they play Inter?
Nope.
Yeah, that's very short.
Now, should he?
Yes.
Slightly tweak it, but he won't change it.
Yeah, I don't think he would. He ain't gonna change it. I think he would even just back himself to think that we should just be good enough to get like to win the game anyway. So yeah, I don't feel like he looks at it and thinks, yeah, I need to change tactics, because it will be a game where I think Barcelona will dominate the ball anyway, and I feel like Inter wouldn't mind them. The problem is don't let Inter get space in behind, which Barcelona
especially Di Marco. Don't let that guy get space.
Exactly, man. But they'll need like their top players to really be on form. You see a game like that, yeah. Obviously, I know like it's difficult. Like games like that, I wouldn't want Balde to do what he normally does, which is basically play left wing. Like I would need you to maybe drop in a little bit more. But I also think that he's going to use that to his advantage. I don't know. But listen, man, we'll wait and we shall see. Mike, have you got anything coming up?
Yep. UCL reaction later today. I think 2 p.m. UK time. So joining people.
Send me the link.
Yeah, G will be joining me for that. We'll be talking about all the games. We'll see if Real Madrid are done. What happened to Ancelotti? Is the guy a fraud? Is he now drinking caipirinhas and going with Brazil? We'll be talking about all that sort of stuff on my channel. So big up to G. Big up to everybody in the chat. Remember to hit the like button.
Nah, man, much love. And as I said, guys, obviously over on Big Up, I done the Barca versus Dortmund. It was quick, nice and short for you guys. Just tactical analysis. Tomorrow, it says 9 a.m., but I think I've seen that the press conference is scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow, Liverpool on a slot. So literally as soon as that's done, I'll be over on Big Up and we'll do a tactical analysis of Liverpool versus West Ham. Again, it won't be long, guys. Maybe like 15, 20 minutes, because I know that A few people probably will go live for their match preview. But yeah, we can talk tactics over there on Big Up. So make sure you guys head on over there and make sure you're heading on over to. Let me actually do this real quick. Have you already scheduled the stream?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me redirect, mates.
And don't forget, people, Thursday Night Football as well. Definitely tune into that Lyon Manchester United game.
Oh yes. After what Matic said about Onana and that. Listen, of course.
You just gotta watch that game just purely for 𝐒𝐷𝐃 and 𝐒𝐿𝐷𝐿 from Lyon. 2 ballers. Yeah, no, can't wait for it.
Michael, where are you?
Oh yeah, there's also 𝐒𝐷𝐃 against Tottenham tonight. Okay, we got some games.
I saw what's his name? Manchester City, apparently they've said that they want a defender.
Really, a fullback?
Yeah, they want a fullback in the summer.
Interesting. So, I wonder who they're going to go for. I still feel like they're going to get 𝐒𝐈𝐿.
Oh, from a Juventus.
Yeah, that would suck, bro. Because 𝐒𝐈𝐿 is such a good player.
No, he's a fantastic player. He's actually a fantastic player. But at the same time, let's see how that kind of works out. I'm more intrigued. I'm actually more intrigued about what do you call it? What Manchester City are going to do come the end of the season into the summer. Like, I'm more intrigued at what type of players are you guys going to sign? Like, I would love to know. Oh,
if they get Wirtz, G, lock it off. Lock it off.
Say that again.
If they get Wirtz, lock it off. It's done.
Listen, you go from KDB to fucking Florian Wirtz. Yeah, you know that's going to be problematic. Guys, here's the link in there for Michael's show, which is at 2:10 UK time. So make sure you guys go and check that out. I am going to head on out of here and go and finish up for the rest of the morning. So make sure you guys enjoy. What is this? 𝐒𝐃 is one to keep an eye on with Liverpool this summer. His name is popping up the most. Let's wait and see. Imagine City in the Europa League. Just for them to win it, yeah. What would be the fucking point?
You know, it's actually funny, G. Quickly.
No.
City and Dortmund could be in the Conference League next season. I'll end it there.
Guys, we'll catch you guys soon. Peace.